This is our webinar all about simplifying your transition to renewable energy with our blended PPA service offering. So we've got three guest speakers this morning who are going to take some time to explain to you a little bit more about the services that we can offer. I hope it's of interest. Before we dive in, I should say that this webinar is being recorded. And a recording of it will be made available afterwards for viewing. Apart from the speakers, the presenters this morning, everybody else's cameras and microphones are turned off. However, we really would like your questions. So if you have any questions during the course of the webinar, please put them in the chat box and we will come to them once the presentations have finished. And any that we can't get to during this morning's webinar, we will come back to you and respond to separately. So before I hand over to our colleagues to talk more about the service offering we're here to look at this morning, just a brief overview and introduction to who we are for those of you that might not know who NFU Energy is. We are a energy consultancy business. We're wholly owned by the National Farmers Union and have been for about the last 8 years. Before that time, we were an independent energy consultancy business for 3 or 4 decades. We are based in our own offices at Stoneleigh Park in Warwickshire, a few hundred metres from the NFU's headquarters. We're a team of about 57 people, so we're a sizable operation in our own right. We have a long history of providing services and support to the agricultural sector. So farmers and growers are particularly the areas that we specialise and have been doing for many decades. Our vision, as it says there, is to be the go-to provider of the best zero carbon energy solutions for the agricultural, horticultural businesses and other related sectors. So that's who we are. What we do, a very brief overview. So we have a brokerage team within our business. So we can help you with traditional brokerage services. That's import energy contracts of all shapes and sizes, fixed, flex, you name it. We have experts that can help and advise and provide pricing. We increasingly are involved in helping our customers who are generating energy to secure competitive export rates for their contracts. So again, anybody that's in that situation, please give us a call, speak to our brokerage team, and we can help and advise. And our team are also involved in lots of other things around energy pricing. So standing charge banding particularly is relevant. Standing charges can be onerous for some farmers and growers out there. We can help and advise. For NFU members, we have special offers, so you can come along and be part of our buying groups and benefit from special incentives, competitive rates on your contracts, etc. The other side of our business is where we have a team of energy engineers. These are qualified energy engineers that spend a lot of time out on site, on farm, helping and advising our farmers and growers with really anything to do with their energy infrastructure. So if you are thinking about an investment in your energy infrastructure, whatever way, shape or form that might be, if you're looking at ways to decarbonize your business, to be more sustainable, to improve your energy efficiency, then we have experts within the business that can help and advise. So we undertake lots of energy efficiency assessments. We do lots of consultancy, lots of feasibility works around carbon reduction, the drive for sustainability improvements, energy efficiency improvements. So really, if that's something you're thinking about now or for the future, pick the phone up and have a chat with us. We'd love to talk to you and help and advise. The other side of our business, which is really busy, is the compliance side. So the energy sector is compliance heavy. There are lots of rules and regulations that go along with the energy sector and with the generation of energy. So we again have a team of experts that are spending their time really involved in some of the big compliance schemes, and some of you may recognize some of the acronyms there on that screen in front of you. Big ones in recent years have been the government's Renewable Heat Incentive Scheme, the feed-in tariff scheme for renewable electricity. If there are people out there running CHP systems, then CHPQA is a really important compliance scheme that you might want to be thinking about. Medium combustion plant directive, environmental permitting. We have an expert within house that looks solely at environmental permitting requirements for your combustion equipment, and lots of other things as well. And of course, the other side of our business where we're really busy is renewables. We work with partners to help you to realize your renewables projects. And our engineers can help you to select the most appropriate technologies, sizes of technologies, combinations of technologies really to suit your requirements. That really brings us very nicely onto what we're here to talk about this morning. And we're really delighted to be working with Saber Renewables, Saber Renewable Energy, who we're going to hear from shortly, and their partners. Saber have come to market with a really unique service offering, the blended power purchase agreement service, which we'll hear much more about in a few minutes. But very basically, what is a blended PPA? Well, it's there to help you save money, to lower your energy costs, to safeguard against the volatility that we've seen in the energy sector in recent years from increases in import energy prices. It helps you to generate clean energy, move to renewables, improve your sustainability credentials, etc. It can also help to fund site improvements, and we'll hear more about that shortly. Technologies include combined heat and power, so solar PV, and other areas that this technology, this service offering can help is by looking to help you to future-proof the buildings and infrastructure that you have on in your businesses. And again, we'll hear more about that shortly. So without further ado, what I'm going to do now is hand over to Jerry from Saber Renewables. And Jerry's going to take us through some of the detail of the PPA offering. Jerry, over to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Stephen. So just to give you, sorry, Stephen, I don't have control of the slides just yet. There we go. Thanks. So, morning, everybody. Just to give you a brief introduction initially to Saber Renewable Energy, who we are, what we do. Basically, we are a bespoke PPA vendor. Again, Stephen, I'm struggling for control, so if you can just move the slides for me, please. Appreciate it. Thanks. So we're going to focus on the poultry challenge today. So Saber, traditionally, we are a PPA funder, so we build renewable energy platforms throughout many businesses in the UK. That's a range of renewable technologies from solar PV, CHP, battery solutions, etc. What really differentiates Saber from the rest of the PPA marketplace is the fact that we don't necessarily take off-the-shelf PPA funding solutions. We build funding solutions specifically around your business requirements. So on the poultry challenge, we're looking at many aspects of energy consumption, energy storage, grid resilience, etc. So if we just move to the next slide, please, Stephen. What we're looking to achieve is 100% fully funded energy solutions to maximize your energy cost savings, future-proof your poultry farm operations. And we do that with what Stephen referred to as a blended PPA solution. So a blended PPA solution is looking at many opportunities on site, trying to blend technologies together, ultimately producing a much more compelling financial offering. So we're looking to create energy cost savings, improve site efficiency, create site resilience, and future-proof the site. And we're trying to achieve that without any cost to the business whatsoever, basically provide you with an alternative solution to grid electricity, help you manage your business much more efficiently, and ultimately improve your bottom line. Next slide, please, Stephen. So obviously we're facing rising energy and building costs within poultry farming. Poultry buildings themselves, as you well know, demand stable all year round heat, and power costs are obviously rising. Aging sheds and roofs increase heat loss, energy waste, and maintenance issues. So when we're looking at upgrading a facility, the one barrier that's always in place is the capital requirements to do that. And this is where we look at blending re-roofs with our partners at Euroclad, adding alternative technologies such as CHP, future-proofing the site, making the site much more economical. And Saber stands in the middle of that process by funding the entire requirement. Next slide, please. So if we focus on blended PPAs initially, so we're looking at all elements entailed in creating a future-proof solution for the farm itself. We're going to use the blended funding solution to fund that. We're going to look at wrapping perhaps solar PV, combined heat and power, overcladding, or any other site improvement that's required. We're going to look to blend that within the PPA itself. So we will fund, Saber will fund the project with no capital outlay whatsoever from the farm. You're simply agreeing to purchase the energy that is produced on site at a fixed and much more compelling cost than traditionally you can purchase from the grid. So it's a really simple, single, flexible package. Really important to emphasize that there's no upfront spend. And ultimately, you're going to reduce bills, improve your resilience position, extend building life expectancy, and move forward from there. And again, next slide, please, Stephen. So when we look at the tech itself, so traditionally, a lot of poultry farms will look at solar PV, which is a terrific solution. You're looking at a technology with a life expectancy of 35 years plus. It's there to harvest daytime energy, provide that energy directly to your farm, so you're not consuming grid electricity. Then the alternative options, for example, combined heat and power, which 2G will talk about in a few minutes. We're looking then at increasing that resilience level, providing you with reliable heat, especially through the colder and darker winter months. So we're starting with solar, we're increasing that grid resilience capacity. In real life cases, solar will often hit around 20% of an average farm consumption. CHP will step in and increase that up to, we have sites currently running where 94% of the site energy is coming from a combination of both solar power and CHP power. We then look at complementing that with other technologies, including wind turbines, battery storage, so that we can maximize and capture more on-site energy. And then with our partners at Euroclad, we look at either new buildings or existing buildings that require remediation, where we can reclad the roof, or we can partially fund the cost of a new build poultry house by funding the roofing aspect and obviously the solar that is attached to that. Next slide, please, Stephen. So how does a blended PPA work in practice? So we fund, manage the installation process, organize the building upgrades. The farm itself simply pays for the energy via the PPA that we produce on site. Those energy savings help to offset the cost of that remediation, and all of these future-proofing elements obviously benefit your farm. We create higher efficiency, greater utility cost savings. We can look at large-scale generation, and the reliability of your electric supply on site is enhanced dramatically. All of the technology that we deploy from a CHP perspective is hydrogen ready, which is really, really important from a future-proofing aspect. And next slide, please. So when we hear from our colleagues at 2G and Euroclad today, look forward to answering your questions. The next steps on exploring a PPA, really, really straightforward. So please reach out to us. We'll conduct an initial assessment. We'll look at an overview of the site, your energy consumption, and where we can apply renewable energy solutions. We'll then come up with a blended PPA proposal. That is fulfilling your ambitions. We'll then move to the next step. We'll conduct a site survey, confirm all of the requirements for an installation on site, and provide you with final PPA terms. We would then move on to deployment phase, which is usually 3 months later, and our partners will quickly install the relevant technologies with the peace of mind that Saber is managing the project from start to finish. And the great news is when you deploy an asset via PPA, all your operation and maintenance is managed by Saber Renewables. So you have a complete seamless route to installation and managing the assets throughout the term of the PPA. Next slide, please. So we'll catch up for questions shortly. I'll pass you over to Mark Holtman to talk about 2G CHPs. Over to you, Mark.
Okey-dokey. Yeah, good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining the webinar today. Yeah, my name is Mark Holtman. I'm the Managing Director of 2G Energy here in the UK. I've been working in the energy sector for 15 years. So I started from the project side, so I know the technology quite well, and it's very exciting, of course, by nature. Okay, I hope I can move those slides on my own. Okay, I hope that was myself. So today, I'd like to show you how a smart combination of various technologies could help you reduce energy costs, meet sustainability goals, and increase your energy independency. So, so before we go to that, just a quick intro of the company. 2G is a German-based company. We do CHP units for now 30 years, so quite established in the market. We manufacture CHP units. We develop our own gas engines to meet the highest efficiencies in the market. We also manufacture industrial scale heat pumps. We are a listed company with over 1,000 employees. The UK arm is not that old. We are here since 2011, so still good 14 years. We are a completely owned subsidiary of the headquarters in Germany, and we are here with about 70 colleagues to to support the industry and our customers, of course. Oh, no, backwards. Okay, so why does energy strategy matter for you, for the poultry farming, actually? Well, it is the growing energy costs, literally. And we picked an example where a poultry farm has a relatively moderate electricity demand, but a very high thermal demand, especially during the winter time. And I took an example of about 20 kW electricity demand, which is for ventilation, for water pumps, and so on. And in the winter time, a quite high thermal demand because those chickens needs it warm when it's cold outside. The raising energy costs, however, make this business more difficult. I think you will all agree to that. Those numbers might not fit for everybody, but I think it's a good example in the market, especially when you are not connected to the natural gas grid, but to the decentralized LPG power supply or energy supply. So electricity costs 24 pence, can cost 20 pence or more, and the heat based on propane can cost up to 8 pence per kWh. So energy costs are a significant cost impact to your business. Okay, so how could we then help this with a clever, smart energy technology mix? Just need to go to the next slide. This is just a general overview of what a PV system can bring to reduce your energy costs. And that chart just shows the ordinary PV yield over a year. So in the winter time, very, very low, sometimes zero, and in the summer times, very, very high. However, that is your normal thermal demand over the year. In the winter time, very, very high, and in the summertime, close to zero. And so when you think about, I just go for a PV system and an air source heat pump, for example, then yes, that is in general possible, but the cheap PV power is available in the summertime. You need the heat in the wintertime. So there is a bit of a contradiction. And that is what this slide shows. So and that brings me then to the smart energy combinations, what we could offer you. First, of course, this is normally your setup right now. You have your poultry farm, you get electricity from the grid, and you have hot water boilers on site, or you have direct gas to air heat exchange, air handling units on site, which provides the thermal energy. What Saber could now add as a technology mix is the PV as one part of it, as we just saw. So that PV could take the power demand from the grid, especially in sunny spring times, summertime definitely, and in sunny autumn times, over the day at least. We could add then a CHP unit, which generates electricity and simultaneously heat. So the CHP could support the electricity demand and the heat demand, and could replace the grid and your existing boilers. We could then also combine it with a heat pump. And that is then already a good technology mix, because think about a couple of scenarios. The summertime. In the summertime, the CHP will be off because you don't need heat and you have enough power via the PV system. But in the night times, or when there are colder days, colder spring days, colder autumn days, the heat pump could support that. So the PV could provide a lot more electricity over the day than you need, but you could run simultaneously a heat pump and store that heat into a thermal storage tank to provide the heat required in the colder night days. In the wintertime, when the PV yield is very low, the CHP could kick in. So CHP could provide, for our example, 20 kW for your ordinary parasitic load demands of your farm, plus provide the electricity for the heat pump, plus the heat for your farm. And the heat pump can take the electricity from the CHP and provide even more heat to your farm. And that is what we consider as a smart energy combination. Go green when the sun is shining. Go green when the sun is shining, but you need still thermal energy with a PV and heat pump combination, and operate the CHP with green biogas and the heat pump to cover the colder winter days. And that is all possible. It does not need a big footprint. It is relatively easy to install and very easy to control from a management perspective. And that is what Jerry said before. In order to design it efficiently, we just need a couple of information from you. It is actually what is the electricity you consume over the year. So normally you have half-hourly data available from the electricity provider, because that helps us understanding what is actually your energy demand. The same for the heat. So what kind of heat do you need? Is it for hot water, for space heating, ventilation? What temperature you need, and how much gas you use over the year, because that also helps model the right solution for you. And that is it, literally. Jerry would need, of course, the electricity price and the gas price to offer you the right PPA rates, and to also calculate your savings, because in the end, that is what counts for you, the actual energy cost savings. And that is it from my perspective, from the technology mix, to provide you different ideas or different kinds of energy, whether it's electricity or heat. And I think I'm gonna hand over to Euroclad now.
Just waiting to see if
You
I'm
should
able
have
to
control.
move the slides. There we go. Thank you for that, both. So yeah, again, extending my thanks to everybody for both coordinating today's webinar and joining to listen to the guest speakers here. So I'm Rian Blake, and I'm the National Business Development Manager for Euroclad Group. So to begin with a quick overview of who we are, where we're based, and how we can hopefully help. Just waiting for the slides to catch up, bear with me. Going to give you a quick introduction to us and our foundation as a business. So we were established in 1981, offering the construction industry now with over 40 years experience and expertise in manufacture of metal, roof and wall solutions. We offer a huge range of products, whether that's single profile, full built-up systems, composite panels, flash-ins, fabrications, or rainwater goods. And one of the core elements that we're proud of is to support UK manufacture, but also to support UK supply chain as well, with some of our core products and materials that are included within our range. In terms of the sectors that we cover, there is no scope of project that's too big or too small for us. We deliver to individual residential units, education, leisure, healthcare. Obviously, it goes without saying, we support the agricultural industry, as well as large-scale distribution and warehousing, data centres. Anything really that facilitates the use of metal, roof or wall cladding, we can tailor requirements to support. So today we're going to focus on how we can support the poultry farming sector specifically. And this for us falls into two distinct categories. So we can support new build projects with our product range called Euroclad Elite or Eurobond sandwich panels. But we can also support refurbishment projects which fit nicely into this sector as well. When looking at the scope of new build projects, one of the best benefits that we can offer here is the flexibility of specification. So here we can actually tailor specification of products to client requirements. The drivers of those requirements can be varied. So that might be cost efficiencies relating to the actual cost of the build project. It could be desired aesthetics. It could be planning restrictions, or it could be tailoring a specification which is specific and targeted to the end use and the function of the building itself. So looking to enhance certain materials to make sure we're providing fit for purpose materials that offer longevity as well. In addition to that, we can furnish refurbishment projects, and this comes under our brand of Euroclad Refresh. So the trend of refurbishment really has been fast-tracked by growing awareness of climate change, but also increasing cost of energy, stricter building regulations, and obviously everybody's paying more attention to reducing carbon footprint of buildings and getting closer to net zero carbon operating figures. When looking at our refurbishment solutions, obviously the benefits there are improved aesthetics, but they also lend their hand to helping existing buildings remain operational throughout the remedial works. They can help improve the thermal efficiencies and air tightness and therefore provide better EPC ratings of the buildings. And all of these obviously come as a benefit to the client, looking at reducing not only carbon footprint and carbon emissions, but cost efficiencies relating to the energy that is required for these buildings to remain operational. The final element, whether you're looking at new build or refurbishment roof solutions in particular, is that all of our systems are classed as something that we call as PV ready. So when we're looking at a PV ready system, we are advising the market that we have proven attachment methods to actually attach the PV modules to the roof system themselves. But also we have a solution that isn't going to compromise or hinder the duration of the roof materials guarantee. The cost of PV is falling. I think that's been captured in today's presentation already. So it's quickly becoming the most cost-effective way to generate renewable energy. This supports both regulatory requirements when we're looking at new build schemes, but also brings added benefit to clients with relation to cost savings of energy production as well when we're looking at the refurbishment schemes. With the increased use of roof-mounted PV, it is important to consider manufacturers that do demonstrate suitable attachment methods. So we work with Saber Renewables and their associated PV installers and EPC teams to make sure that everybody is aware of best practice. And again, this is because we want to promote longevity and also systems that are fit for purpose for a set period of time. For the final section of today's presentation, looking to keep it brief and move on to the Q&A session, I'm just going to run through two case studies just to kind of showcase how we can help and support poultry farming. So the first case study is looking at the development of 4 new broiler houses. So here we've got 4 steel portal framed houses. Each of them hold 48,000 Ross broilers and have individual control rooms in them. Other structures were also built during this process. So there's a plant room, a gatehouse, and also an incinerator facility. All of those buildings are obviously encapsulated with a metal clad envelope. Internally, the sheds are fitted out with combi ventilation systems with climate control units to prevent dust and moisture from getting in them. And finally, the project boasts 250 kilowatt solar installation. They've got panels fitted to 2 of the 4 poultry house roof areas, and this generates over 206,000 kilowatt hours of electricity per year. And this performance was driven and targeted to meet the energy demands of the ground source heat pumps that were also installed during the construction phases. So putting together all of these blended technologies that both Jerry and Mark have spoken about, we can see here that this really does support that approach. And that obviously metal clad envelopes are suitable to accommodate and house these technologies within. The second of the case studies here is a £1 million investment to a 32,000 free range unit. So this was a new state-of-the-art free range layers enterprise, and it was part of a planned diversification to secure the future of a family-run business. Important factors to consider during the specification process of this related to colour choice for both planning and obviously the aesthetics of the client and owners, but also, again, the integration of PV and being able to successfully attach those to our roofing products. So all we wanted to demonstrate with these and the short kind of introduction to Euroclad Group here is whether it's new build or refurbishment, there really is the flexibility in specification to encompass tailored requirements. And in conjunction with Saber Renewables, we can incorporate these costs within their unique and blended PPA. It was a bit of a brief whistle-stop tour from me, but if there are any questions that I can help with, please do reach out to me either directly or via NFU Energy and Jerry at Saber Renewables. And I've got one final thank you before I pass back to Stephen, and that's for the purpose of today's case studies. So these were shared with us in conjunction with Powell and Company Construction. They're a long-standing Euroclad supply chain partner who were established in 1998. And they're a family-run business who are dedicated to designing and building the best solutions for modern poultry house. So a big thank you to them for sharing these case studies and giving us a glimpse into the driving factors that obviously contributed to the builds.
Brianne, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that. Really interesting. And I hope everybody else has found that interesting. What we're going to do now is move on to some questions. So we're really keen to get your questions. Please pop those in the chat box and we'll address them with our colleagues here. There is one question that Catherine has posted. Probably for you, Jerry. Very simply, can all of this be achieved if only on single phase supply?
Unfortunately not, Catherine. Solar, we really need 3-phase supply to hit a reasonable level of solar deployment. So you're limited to 6-7 kilowatt on single phase realistically, which will help a bit, but it will not provide any sizable resilience for you, nor will it impact a huge proportion of your energy consumption. But it's certainly a start and certainly worth exploring.
Okay, and a follow-up question from Catherine is, can they generate their own three-phase supply in that case?
Depending on site, we can take a look at the overall electrical infrastructure of the site. What else we can do on site, for example, Mark touched on the fuel that we can use for CHP operations. We're not limited to natural gas. We can use biogas. We can use LPG. So having an understanding, Catherine, definitely reach out. We'll explore that together. And this is where the blended solution really kicks in, that we're looking at your infrastructure and we're trying to build a solution specifically around your requirements, your ambitions, or the issues that you currently have on site in terms of grid supply. So please reach out after today's call and we'll see how we can help.
Wonderful, thanks, Jerry. A question for you, Mark, in relation to CHP technology. What's a typical payback period for this investment?
It depends. It depends on, of course, the electricity price and the gas price, and it also depends on what technology you apply. For example, a CHP unit on its own in the UK pays back within 1 to 3 years. Indeed, that is quite significant and astonishing. But the electricity to gas price gap in the UK is quite high, and the larger the gap is, the quicker it pays off. If PV is blended to it and other technologies, then the payback is different. But I think that is then a better question to Jerry, how this blended one would work out financially.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, one of the key points, Stephen. Traditionally, when you're looking at a standalone PPA in the UK, for example, solar, you'll be looking at an average PPA term of 25 years. When we're blending technologies together, such as solar, recladding, CHP, etc., we're able to reduce that PPA term down to an average of 15 years, which means throughout that 15 years, the asset has been fully managed. It's providing substantial financial and carbon savings in a lot of cases. But the asset ownership can be transferred to the farm much, much quicker, i.e. at the end of the 15-year term, and even shorter if required on specific cases with sizable electric consumption. But we can review that on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. A few questions that have come into the chat box, so thank you very much for that. Keep them coming. Probably one for you, Jerry. How advanced battery storage is now for electrical storage? So this is a question from Ian Johnson, using about 100,000 kilowatts a year. They can buy cheaper overnight electricity than during the day. Yep. What are you running? 80,000 broilers, 8 crops, modern sheds, and you'd like more solar. So there's quite a bit to think about there. But I guess the battery storage. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Ian, great question. Battery storage has improved no end, especially over the last 24 months. And again, improving life expectancy of battery has always been the challenge, especially on medium-sized installations, such as what you would require. And that's life expectancy that's created through intermittent charging. Now that we have battery performance improving, life expectancy improving, we can create a much more compelling balance with solar working alongside battery and taking advantage of low rate out of hours electricity. Perhaps 2 years ago, I would have said it would have had the opposite effect on a PPA. Today, the timing couldn't be any better. So it complements the PPA and makes the overall proposition financially much more compelling. Looking at 100,000 kilowatt annual usage, you would probably end up looking at something like a 50 to 60 kilowatt PV array complemented by a 20 to 50 kilowatt battery. When you get in touch, Ian, we'll review and build an electrical profile of the farm, and we can blend the certain technologies, including battery, into that electrical profile, so we're achieving the most compelling offering we can provide you with. So definitely look forward to chatting on that one.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jerry. And you can see there on the screen contact details both for NFU Energy and for Saber Renewables. So yeah, pick the phone up and have a chat with us. We'd be delighted to talk further with you. A question from Jeff for you, Rian. Quite an interesting one. So if you're building new buildings from scratch, I think the question is, why would you attach PV panels to the roof rather than integrate them into the roofing sheet? I think you're on mute. Hello, Rian.
Stephen, I'll take that one for
Thank you, Jerry.
There's a number of reasons. Within the product portfolio, we have all solutions, so we can have recladding with solar placed on top, specifically with Euroclad fixing systems. We can provide roofing structures where the solar is actually embedded into the roofing structure. So that's really on a specific site-by-site specification. Great to be involved on that journey at the start when it comes to what you're trying to achieve. And then what we do is we look at the financial mechanics of the building itself. Ultimately, we're trying to supply a facility that's future-proofed for as long as possible, provides a really easy solution from an O&M perspective, but ultimately that reduces the overall deployment cost of the asset itself. But we will look at all options, Stephen.
Wonderful. Okay. Thanks very much, Jerry. Mark, a question picking up on what you were talking there about, and Jerry was talking about hydrogen-ready engines and the importance of that for future-proofing. Just how advanced is this? And specifically, have you got projects that are up and running in the UK?
Yeah, a very good question, Naga. The CHP industry is investigating the hydrogen usage. We at 2G developed our 100% hydrogen unit in 2012 for the Berlin-Brandenburg airport. And there's a fundamental difference between blending a portion of hydrogen into the natural gas and a full operation of hydrogen, so 100%. And it is a fundamental difference within the ignition system. And therefore, it is a very good question. And be careful when somebody says, my system is future proven for hydrogen, then ask the question, for how much hydrogen? For 10 volume percent, 20, 40, or for 100? So our units can run on 100% hydrogen. And we have one unit on the Orkney Islands with 100% hydrogen. And it's providing the electricity and the heat for the Orkney airport. We have about 35 100% hydrogen projects in operation all over the world. The difficulty is the hydrogen supply. But when we talk about future-proven technology, the actual CHP unit is ready for hydrogen. However, when you say, well, I would like to go with a natural gas unit now, but have it 100% hydrogen proven, then I would say, let's go for this technology, and we keep it running and optimized for the natural gas usage. And when the time comes that you have actually had hydrogen available, our service comes to site and we modify the engine on site to accept 100% hydrogen. And the difference is I need to add a dedicated hydrogen gas train. I might need to change the pistons, but that is it. So everything else, the balance of plant, and is potentially already paid off, and we operate always at the maximum efficiency. If you have only natural gas, or natural gas only, and if you have hydrogen, then we can discuss, do we want to blend it, or do you have enough hydrogen to switch over to 100%? But the technology is advanced. It's operating on 100% hydrogen. And so from that point of view, you really would invest in a future-proven technology right now. I hope that answers the question.
So forgive me for asking possibly to repeat yourself. So if somebody wanted to come and see one of these engines, these hydrogen engines operating here in the UK, is that a possibility to do a site visit?
It is definitely a possibility to do the site visit. However, will it be running? Is a question of hydrogen supply. So we would need to double check with the client. Is that unit running? Do you have hydrogen? Because the idea on the Orkney Island was to transform the excess of renewable energy on that island via an electrolyzer into hydrogen. So literally make the excess of renewable energy a storable medium, and then bring it back into electricity when the wind is not blowing.
Okay, thank you for that. I think, Chapan, if you want to take that further, then by all means drop me a call or drop a call to Jerry at Saber, and we can help to get that introduction made. And thank you very much for that question. Jerry, sleeving, is sleeving an option? This is a question from Philip.
Sleeving electricity to site within the UK right now is definitively an option. We currently develop utility scale projects, community-driven utility scale solar projects. What you do in the UK is you have to, so we have the solar asset producing the energy. Then we need what's called a CPPA agreement, which is basically a license to transmit that energy into the national grid network before that energy gets to the off-taker. What you have in the UK now is relatively palatable wholesale electricity rates, which means sleeving energy on a small to medium scale is not financially compelling. It's extremely compelling from a carbon position, but from a financial position, it's not, unless you're at sort of 10 megawatt or 10 gig and above. But sleeving opportunities using underutilized farmland in the UK, there's definitive solutions where we can explore that. Hopefully that answers the question, Stephen.
That's great. Thank you. And again, if you want to continue that conversation, Philip, then please pick the phone up or drop us an email either to myself or Jerry, and we'll be happy to speak further about it. Mark, a question for you and Jerry. So that decentralized energy generation model that you were showing us there in your slides, is that really something that's viable for smaller poultry businesses? Does that work independent of size and scale of the business?
It does. It does. The example I was showing, it was a simple poultry farm, 20 kW of power demand and a very 10 times more heat demand in the winter times. A small scale CHP, PV, heat pump solution can definitely make sense. It all depends on the energy costs the poultry farm is paying right now. But definitely, yes, it's not too small to consider.
Just coming in on that, Stephen. So, you know, CHP units going down as low as 20 kilowatt, complemented by even a 20 kilowatt solar array. It's that grid resilience. We've looked at a number of poultry farms recently on that sort of scale, and the financials are really compelling. You know, you have, especially in more remote farms, you can't upgrade the electrical infrastructure to site. So what we have to do is maximize on-site development opportunities. For example, if you wanted to expand your poultry farm, well, we can look beyond the grid That's the real message. You know, don't worry about natural gas. There's many, many fuel sources. For example, a really good example, Stephen, at the minute we have a site that has 6 biomass boilers that are coming to both the end of their RHI period and end of life. So we're replacing those biomass boilers with a single CHP complemented by solar, and we're taking the site to 92% grid independence, which then leaves huge scope for expansion in the future.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great. I'm very conscious that we're just about to run out of time, but Rihanna, can we hear you? Are you there?
I'm here.
Wonderful. Just a very quick question for you. Roof types. Quite often in the farming sector, you come up against, I'm sure you're well familiar with this, asbestos roofing and other materials. How do you deal with that in 30 seconds?
Twofold. Sometimes it is actually deemed safer to leave the asbestos in situ. In that situation, we'll come up with a tailored specification to overclad and create as little disruption and as little health and safety risk as possible on site. If there is a safe method and removal of the asbestos with replacement of a brand new roof will offer improved longevity, then we'll tailor a specification for a brand new roof specification, whether that's thermals, acoustics, or simply aesthetics.
Wonderful. That's great. Thank you very much for that and for answering that in 30 seconds. I do appreciate it. Right. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this morning. We really do appreciate your time. We hope it was of interest. Please reach out to us. We'll certainly be in touch with you after the show anyway. Yeah, you can see the contact details there. We'd very much appreciate a chance to talk to you. It just remains me to thank our speakers, to Jerry, to Rian, and to Mark. Thank you very much for your time this morning. We really do appreciate it. I hope everybody has a very good day. Thank you very much. Goodbye.